Thomas, who is the skipper. The late change to Ivan Henjak, who will start as a fresh reserve. They're missing some of their big names because of state of origin, but it is still a good side. Joe Thomas, the captain, in tremendous form this year. His experience is vital. And Taylor, with that magnificent kicking game of his, he's been online right throughout the year. Devine at fullback, Burns, Barra, Ainscoe, Casato, the three-quarters, Dimmock in at 5'8" for Henjak, then Taylor, Liddon, Gibbs, Wynn, Williams, Thomas, Britt, the coach Warren Ryan. Michael Hagan, he'll be looking for a new lease of life for this Newcastle side. Big upset last week when the Gold Coast defeated them at home. Now they've got to really produce the goods to try and stay with this pack at the top of the Winfield Cup. Michael Hagan is the linchpin at 5'8", their captain, with all the skills. Worth is at fullback, getting back to top grade at last. Kemp, McCormack, Doyle, Schuster, Hagan is the skipper at 5'8". Lanane, Glanville, Harrigan, Boyd, Johnston, Chapman, Woods. McMahon is the coach. Who really need this victory now because Eastern Suburbs and Canterbury have been winners so far in this split round 10 of the Winfield Cup. Semi-final positions are at a premium as it really does pack up this competition. Dimmock is in the 19 jersey, taking over for Henjak. Darren Brett. A lot of work to come from him. No Gillespie. No Steve Jackson. Farrell looking for the sideline, and with not a great deal of time, he shows his experience at keeping his cool and getting it to about 35 metres out.
Yeah, this match being billed as the battle of the big men, and I'm sure that's the way it will unfold. Newcastle play a very physical game through the forwards. Western Suburbs traditionally play that style of football, but Western Suburbs feel if they can hold Newcastle in the forwards, they've got the better back line.
Kemp coming off his wing. 170 points for West, 120 against. Newcastle disappointing with 127. Only 130 against, though. Their power in their forwards. Harrigan. Bill, we've got a warm one here today at Campbelltown.
Yeah, it is, Graeme, and I think the players are going to appreciate when the sun drops down behind the grandstand. It's going to be a tough game, this one, and I think what Newcastle have got to do, they're getting West when West are a bit under strength in the forwards, and that'll suit them. But if they're going to get the money and they can cause an upset, they're going to have to match Andrews Farah's kicking game. It's been a great bonus for West in the last couple of rounds.
Certainly has, as Newcastle go down to their last with their kicking game. Bouncing away from Devine. Only a couple of metres out. Trying to get to the outside of Doyle, he won't. Right in front of his own posts. Ainscoe. Earlier this afternoon, President's Cup, remarkable 0-0 scoreline. Western Newcastle 24-12 to the Knights in reserves. The President's Cup match was an entertaining one, though. No points scored, but some opportunities for both sides. Knock on by Gibbs. Great chance here for Newcastle to really get the start they want. They will have the scrum feed. McCormack. Inside the 22, West. Defending their own territory. Glanville on the charge, stepping right through. Glanville will go all the way. Oh, they stood right back. Powerful run from Glanville. A mistake from Gibbs. A knock on, and the Knights punished them badly. MMI replay, he just charged onto it, and West just stood back. The step from Glanville inside Liddon, some flimsy defence. Devine had no chance to stop him on the line.
Yeah, some poor defence here. Step inside Liddon, goes through Mark Williams there. Two poor tackles, basically just poor defence. You can't explain it in any other way.
Glanville really exploded. 24 years of age, Glanville has been one of the best for the Knights this season. What a super start for them. His first try of the year. There is no Ashley Gordon today. The normal kicker for the Newcastle Knights. And Schuster has only 2 goals so far this season. A dozen metres to the side of the posts. Schuster gives the Knights a perfect start on the MMI. Big game, Newcastle 6, West 0. Jason Taylor back with this restart for West. If you're going to really be a good side in rugby league, in the Winfield Cup of 91, if a side makes a mistake inside their 22, you've got to make it count with a try.
Yeah, you've got to capitalise, because if you don't, the opposition will, and that was exactly the case there. Newcastle needed that because they suffered a defeat to the Gold Coast last year, which would have knocked their confidence around, but it's sky high again after that.
Alan McMahon looking determined. He's got the start that he wants, the Newcastle coach. Hagan calling for a penalty for the man being held down. Now they make a mistake inside the 22. Will West do the same to Newcastle? Pass just going astray over the shoulder of Harrigan.
I think we're going to see a lot of the mistakes in the forwards in this game because of the pressure in defence. Both sides, very strong defensive outfits. They'll be putting pressure on right throughout the match, and handling could be a problem.
Identical situation for the Magpies from which the Knights scored. Dimmock right in midfield and right on the 22. Farah rushes to dummy half. Farah trying to find a way through the forwards. He gets barreled. It will be Farah and Thomas to lead the way here today for West. Darren Brett with a good charge. 9 metres out the Magpies. Looking for a quick play of the ball. Graeme Wynn charging up the middle. Taken well by David Woods head on. Kraft thought it was a little high. Taylor calls for the switch. Farah. McCormick was up quickly to cut it off. He's still unloaded, but the Magpies put it down. We've got a touch judge rushing out onto the field himself. So the report will come in for Greg McCallum. Harrigan being called out. Now, was this on the tackle? Here's Wynn. Woods was the man head on. Now, there was a punch in the tackle. This might go back to in front of the post for a penalty. No doubt about it. The touch judge was in quickly after the advantage had been played to West, who were in possession. So a good call all round from the referee and touch judge, and David Woods might give up 2.
Yeah, that was a silly thing to do that. I mean, you can't afford to do things like that, particularly in front of your own post. It didn't serve any purpose. It wouldn't have upset Graeme Wynn in the least. In fact, it would have made him quite happy. If we have a look at here, little right arm going in there, wouldn't have even
quite happy to get 2, but I wouldn't have been so happy about copying that.
I don't think it would have hurt too much, actually. Winnie got up smiling.
Tremendous young goal kicker, Jason Taylor. He has 30 goals from just 41 attempts this year. 12 metres out. The Knights make a mistake themselves. They do get punished as well. It is 6-2 Newcastle. Going wide, Thomas cutting man out. Williams gets it on to Dimmock. Magnificent. Campbelltown comes alive. They explode here, the Magpies. It all started with Graeme Wynn, and then he gave them once more a chance out near the sideline. The MMI replay, good cutout ball from Thomas. They just ran into the gap. They were on the rack, Newcastle, and they couldn't recover.
They were well and truly on the rack after that big break, but the Western Suburbs backs and forwards mixed together. They joined in the back line. They got the numbers on the Newcastle defence that crowded in to try and cover that break. But good little half break here from Jimmy Dimmock, and he goes all the way over.
Dimmock, who was in the starting lineup for Ivan Henjak, the West skipper. He has 5 tries in 91. A man of just 19 years of age. So it is a young combination of half and 5'8", Dimmock and Taylor. Combination that might add 6. They do. The Magpies come flying back. It is 8-6 over Newcastle. The Knights, who've got a super start. But now all of a sudden, they came apart at the seams. And crashing runs from Graeme Wynn has opened it up for West.
And Graeme Wynn doing his best to make sure he doesn't play in a losing side today. He hasn't played in a losing West side so far this year.
Penalty going against Newcastle as Casado was trying to get to his feet quickly here. It was still Max Chapman who had his hands on him as he was trying to play it. Some penalties are helping. But it's determined the Magpies to stay in this top 5 in the Winfield Cup. Try and even get a break on some teams. Taylor, Casado. Casado has 7 tries for the Magpies this year. Farah looking for plenty of work, coming away from the centres and amongst the forwards. Gibbs fumbles it. Tried to regain the ball. I thought he was held back. The Magpies could have got a penalty. McCormick comes up with the first tackle for the Knights now. Now Gibbs was held out of it by Linane. Could easily have been a penalty to West.
Yeah, lucky that they didn't come up with a penalty there. Gibbsy would have recovered, which meant the scrum would have eventuated, but not the case. Newcastle in possession.
Harrigan plays it short of halfway. Dorr puts it down. There's a lot of fumbles out there, Bill.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, Graeme, happening very quickly. There's quick play the balls, a lot of ball movement. There's been plenty of penalties and some big hits. I think the secret here is going to be, certainly for the next 15 or 20 minutes, the team that can keep their cool and play under pressure, because there's a lot of it.
A little bit of feeling creeping into it as well with the frustration of these errors. Wynn working with Taylor. Well read by Kemp. He made sure the ball stopped with Farah. And Farah is not real well. Kemp knew there was a cutout pass here. And he got Farah before he could even think about it.
Yes, Andrew Farah popped a high one there, and he's receiving attention. Hopefully it won't be too long before he's back into the fray.
Johnston was looking for the big hit on Britt. Put him off balance. Another penalty. Jason Taylor will be impressed with this one. David Gillespie, New South Wales forward, sitting in front of Laurie Daly and some of the State of Origin stars from the Blues, who are looking relaxed before the big game on Wednesday night. 2 from 2 for Jason Taylor. All concentration. Taylor makes those tough judges work again. It is 10-6, the Magpies over the Knights. Knights players offside, taking their time to get in the road. They will be penalised.
That's great refereeing from Greg McCallum. The Newcastle players deliberately got in the way there, impeded the backline movement. In fact, they're lucky that they didn't receive, one of them didn't receive 10 minutes in the sin bin.
There's no doubt about it that they took their time and slowed right down to stay in the way. They could easily have ended up in the bin, you're right.
Yeah, that constitutes a professional foul, and 10 minutes in the bin is the penalty for that.
4-0 the penalties to West.
And it's risky stuff, isn't it, when you've got a player like Jason Taylor, a goal kicker of his quality on the other side.
Some running repairs. Jason Taylor with the 100% record so far. It's it sweetly. You just can't keep giving this man chances. He is hurting Newcastle on the board. It is 12-6. With Schuster with this restart. It makes you think about Alan McMahon, the Newcastle coach. Bill, I wonder when he's going to use Mark Sargent.
I wouldn't think it'd be too long. He's got to get a bit more authority in the forwards. Western Suburbs have been doing things very quickly. They've been getting a roll on in their play the balls. They've had their big men hitting through the centre of the rucks and the edge of the rucks. I think Sargent might be just the lift psychologically and physically that the Newcastle forwards need.
Bill, this marker defence from Newcastle appears to be well below its normal standard at the moment.
Yeah, it's the way that Newcastle and Western Suburbs play. It's pretty hard to keep that intensity going week in, week out, but Newcastle have lost their last couple of starts. Again, you know, we would have expected them to beat Gold Coast. I don't know exactly what the problem is, Wayne, but they can't leave it too long.
Well, they better not leave it too much longer, as you say, in this first half. West on a big roll. And a dart of a kick here to put them down deep again.
Yes, Andrew Farrer, he's such a key man for Western Suburbs. He's a cool head in attack, he's a cool head in defence, and he's got that great boot. He's a big asset. In fact, in many ways, it's going to be a great battle between Doyle and Farrer.
And Mark Sargent going on for the Knights now.
That's the key, because Farrer and Taylor give them the options at the kick. Joe Thomas with a loose arm there in the tunnel of that scrum, you might have seen. Worth. Sargent is in 41. The Kangaroo, who, if he can prove his fitness, still might be able to play a part in the representative matches this season. Doyle without it for Glanville. Now, Sargent with his first touch.
Just broken the Newcastle line with monotonous regularity.
Now, Burns. Just showed him the sideline, but he couldn't get him over there. Last tackle, Taylor. Graeme Wynn was offside, I thought. Fumble from Worth. That's a try. Graeme Wynn didn't play a part, but Gary Worth comes up with the big mistake. Pinpoint bomb from Taylor on the MMI replay. He sends Worth looking back over his head. Graeme Wynn was offside originally, I thought, but then he, in a bumping duel, he lost it, and losing it was Worth, and Mark Williams was there.
By number 14, Mark Williams.
Yes, but just as I said, Newcastle under a lot of pressure. This best ball goes up. Gary Worth coming back, was looking into the sun, but that's no excuse. The fullback should take it, but the full credit to Mark Williams. He was there on the spot.
West kicking game's been spot on all day, and here Jason Taylor puts one up in the air. There was a good chase from the Western Suburbs forwards. Worth wasn't under that much pressure, but he's new back into the first grade. His timing was a little bit rusty, but Williams wasn't.
Mark Williams, 22 years of age, and in the top grade, with guys like Gillespie out of there, he comes up with a try. 4 from 4. 5 from 5. And Western Suburbs scooting clear, 18-6 on the MMI big game. Boyd across the ruck, looking for runners. He threw a dummy. He's only 13 metres out from the west line. Lenane, Hagan looking outside. He still kept it alive, taken now by Boyd. Around the back for Lenane. The gap is there. He floats it. McCormick. It opened up. I thought Lenane could have hurried for it himself, but he took a chance to go out wide. Now they mess it up completely.
Newcastle still looking for some spark, and we can see here the error from Lenane, and they do need something. Glenn Miller's getting ready down on the side.
They've had a few chances from broken field play, but they just haven't been able to capitalise on them.
Dimmock. They've got to capitalise quickly. It is 18-6 to West. Casado. From a standing start, he's still got to pass the 22. Thomas. Offside, a lot of trouble. The Magpies might only have to tackle for 1, maybe 2 tackles to see it out. Hagan puts down an awful pass. West come up with it. And that's all there will be. A disappointing night, but a standing ovation here at Campbelltown for the Magpies. The main stand here really is letting their hometown heroes know all about their first 40 minutes. Western Suburbs are really powering here. And at the break, the Magpies with a scoreline 24 points to 6. Performance from them. The second, Liddon made 12, Britt made 11, but Britt also led the way with the number of hit-ups with the ball. He made 12 of those. Greg McCallum signals we only have 40 minutes remaining. And that is for Newcastle to get out of this hole. McCormick. Schuster trying to step his way through. Sargent to the 32. Adrian Brunker was the man that we had in shot, the replacement for Newcastle. David Woods finds a hole up the middle. Glanville trying to keep the roll going. 38 metres out from the west line, but it's on the last. Lanane kicking to the corner. But there's also a change for Devine. I think it's Sean O'Brien who's out there in 14 for West. Barra.
The Western Suburbs here, starting off in the same vein as the first half, playing very safe football, working from dummy half and one off the ruck, powering up the middle. They'll want to continue that right through this second half. They don't need to score too many more points. What they've got to do is protect that lead.
Taylor with the kick. Taken cleanly by Worth. Worth breaks the first tackle. What was said at half-time, Bill?
Well, as you indicated, Graham, there were a couple of changes. What does a coach say when he goes into a tough game and he sides leading by 24 points to 6? Warren Ryan wants them to continue with their kicking and good ball security. The converse was the case in the Newcastle room. Alan McMahon spoke about things like commitment and personal effort because he obviously didn't believe that he'd had a great deal of that. Newcastle aren't out of this game, but gee, they've got to score early here.
Miller will get them inside the 22. One more tackle remaining. Lanane, they're going to bomb away. It brought a try for West in the first half. Newcastle getting down there, touched by Schuster. And not dead. It will come back to the 22. Really was in a good spot for Newcastle, climbing with Schuster, but he couldn't control it. So West survived that one.
And Newcastle starting off this second half as they did start the first half, but they dropped off in intensity in the first half. Coach Alan McMahon will hope that that intensity goes right through this game from here on.
Williams. Young men in this West club have let nobody down. Nor have some of the old hands like Gibbs. Taylor to Liddon. 45 out from their own line, West. Dimmock confidently working play away. Taylor with the kick. Plenty of time. Takes his mark and finds it perfectly. There would only have been a blade of grass in that. But he knows his own home ground so well. Right near the chalk. One hop over.
It's an interesting exercise to compare the speed of the play of the ball of the Western Suburbs players who struggle with their feet with that of the Newcastle side, and therein lies the basic problem. Western Suburbs playing this game at 100 miles an hour with a lot of intensity and enthusiasm. Newcastle not.
Trevor Cogger to play at 6-3. The handling errors against the Knights. Thomas flicking it. That was great play. Darren Britt is trying to support Dimmock. Dimmock over the top. I thought it was forward. That's a try, though. McCallum ruled it was okay. Maybe it was touched, although he didn't signal. There is some entertaining play being displayed by this young West side. And what a run from a front rower to back up on the MMI replay. The flick from Thomas. Plenty of skill there, and plenty of skill from Dimmock. Carrying that ball out in front of himself, giving himself some options. That was the pass that was line ball. Wasn't touched. I thought it might have been forward.
Well, it all started back with Joey Thomas. The skipper runs out of dummy half. He flicks it back on the inside. Great little effort here. Jimmy Dimmock, he didn't know what was coming, but he did well to hold it. Kangaroo skips out of a tackle. Now, Darren Britt did exceptionally well to get in a position to back up here. Very mobile. He shifts back to the inside. Maybe it was a forward pass, but nevertheless, I think the lead-up work meant it should have been a try anyway, and it was a great spectacle.
Darren Britt did all the work in the first half with hit-ups and defence. 21 years of age. His first try in 91. He'll celebrate it all night long. 6 from 6 for Taylor. Not a difficult one for him. 7 from 7. 200 points for West in 1991 as they go to 30-6 over the Knights.
And they've scored some good tries as well. They've backed up well. They've just capitalised on that broken field play as good as any team has this year.
Casado, who gets through as much work these days as any forward, even though he's out on the wing. Taylor. The defence came up too quickly, gave him a chance to change direction for Cogger. Dimmick scored a try. He's been involved in another. Taylor started this. Back to Cogger. Brilliant. Brilliant play from West. This crowd of over 10,000 lapping it up. Talk about Newcastle trying to lay some on. It's West again. Rushing up on Taylor was Lanane. On the MMI replay, he took the chance to switch it. Cogger read it beautifully to run into the gap, keeping it alive for Dimmick. Dimmick's had a hand in a number of tries as well as scoring one. And then Taylor. He stayed alive after the switch of play, as did Cogger. Magnificent rugby league.
Yeah, Jason Taylor here taking control again. Newcastle not moving up on the blind side. They're very tired. They're just starting to open up in all over the paddock. This blind side's where they capitalised on it. We see plenty of support on the inside. We see Cogger receiving the ball as the final pass. He was involved twice, and he goes over for his first try of 1991.
Trevor Cogger, the reserve grade skipper of West, joins in the party here at Campbelltown. One of the big questions that will be continued to be asked, can it remain 100% for Jason Taylor? Taylor hooking this one, proves to all and sundry that he is only human. 34-6. Ivan Henjak finally gets out there off the interchange. What a great opportunity for Henjak to get out there and get amongst it with that big scoreline behind his side. Beautifully tucked and taken by Taylor. Been a point-scoring spree this first of the split round, round 10. East piling on the points, 30-6 against the Gold Coast. As we see Graeme Wynn getting a well-deserved rest for the Magpies. Canterbury yesterday, 40-22 over Parramatta. And now the Magpies, when everybody thought that they were vulnerable, flex their muscles to show everyone that they are more than just semi-contenders.
Yeah, they've been considered somewhat of a dad's army this year and performed extremely well with older players like Wynn and Rampling and Gibbs showing the way. Here's a chance, Lydon. Oh, it's the Magpies' day. He will stay alive. No, it's the last.
The ball sat up beautifully for him. He's a little bit injured in the tackle, but he just couldn't keep it alive after that. It was the last tackle.
That's the sort of play that Newcastle should be adopting. A bit of variation, maybe some kicks thrown in. But as I was saying, Graeme, Western Suburbs' younger players have really come to the fore today. It's been their experiences that carried them so far this year. But
I hope they're going to come good. It's the life of a coach.
Billy, the one thing that the actual personnel doesn't explain, the players on the field just haven't played with the same sort of speed or intensity as Western Suburbs.
No, the commitment hasn't been there. I suppose that's always your starting point for any match. You can have all of the fancy game plans. You can have what you think are the right sort of tactics. But if the players aren't going to commit themselves and put their body on the line, nothing will work.
Western Suburbs have done that today. Flanagan getting it back. Oh, magnificent if this ends up in a try. It will, Dimmick. That is A-grade stuff. 5 stars. Western Suburbs have thrilled everybody at Campbelltown. What a performance from a young side. Holding the ball up as Taylor for O'Brien to run to the gap. Keeping it alive. Flanagan has only just got out there on interchange. Round the corner, Liddon, marvellous that ball there as he was falling. Henjack heard the call. Dimmock has been in everything, right next to the post. What a great try.
Once again, it was a little maestro, Taylor, that started this one off. He called it on the blind side, had a pre-organised play there with O'Brien. He goes through straight into a big gap. Now, Newcastle at this stage didn't know whether they were coming or going. The Western Suburbs players, Flanagan there is involved. He offloads the inside. Beautiful pass here from Liddon. That was something out of a textbook, really. Offloads on the inside, changes the angle of attack, and Dimmock goes over underneath the posts.
Dimmock has gone from 5'8" to lock with Henjack out there, but he gets a try under the posts. 7 from 8. You will be just about to write down 8 from 9. Western Suburbs break the 40. It is 41-6 over Newcastle. Stunning victory. No uncertain terms. Are they laying claims to the fact that they can do something very special in this Winfield Cup? Taylor back for Britt. On the toe for Chapman. The two hookers chasing each other. Flanagan and Chapman. Chapman gets an opportunist try. West were all up in the line looking to keep the ball alive. And it was left for Flanagan to turn and chase Chapman. And the ball bounced perfectly for him. A loose ball from Taylor. And it was bouncing nicely for him. Another kick, and it sits up into his arms. And the race was as good as over on the MMI replay for the second Newcastle try. Much too little. And it's still bowed heads from Newcastle. He has had to work hard, the labourer from Newcastle. Only about 60 seconds remaining. From wide out, this kick from Schuster. 1 from 1 for Schuster. He has seen little of the ball, but he does well with the goal kicking from wide out. 41 points to 12 West over Newcastle. Just look at some of these young faces. They have the right blend. They'll have a bigger blend when they get some stars back like Bob Lidner. Gillespie after State of Origin. Jackson, Steve Jackson after State of Origin. A superb performance from the Magpies. Nothing needs more to be said about it. They have entertained today. Entertained in a big way. Henjack, he only got there in the second half. It was the young men who really laid on the foundations for it. The Magpies well and truly online for semi-finals in 1991. Newcastle with some big headaches. 41 points to 12. Dimmock got a double. He was brilliant. Williams, Ainscoe, Britt, Cogger and Taylor. 8 from 9. And Taylor also a field goal. Glanville and Chapman the try scorers for the Knights. Schuster with 2 from 2. 41 points to 12. The might was well and truly felt. Any performance from Western Suburbs. We thought the best day out for the Magpies was their half, Jason Taylor. Jace, you went in there with a couple of changes. No Gillespie. Ivan Henjack went back to the bench. Everybody all of a sudden thought he was a great opportunity for Newcastle. A young side. What a performance for the side. The best of the year?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. The game against Penrith we played very well. But we scored a few points out there today, so that probably puts us up a bit above that game. Really.
What has it meant, the experience coming to the club with the likes of Gillespie and Thomas?
Oh, it's really made a difference to young players, especially myself. You go out in the field and you really know how to win a game. Things get hard and they really settle you down and helps you, no end.
Well, the plans were there today. You showed everybody, and what a quality performance from the Quality Standard Insurance. $1,000 from MMI. Well played.
Thanks a lot, Graeme. I'd just like to thank MMI and Channel 10.
8 points for Jason Taylor today on our Dally M points for this year. Marvellous performance, but just shading Dimmock, who also played so well, and Darren Britt, who was outstanding in the forwards. 7 points also. You can read all those Dally M points in tomorrow's Telegraph Mirror. What a remarkable showing from Western Suburbs, and they continue the roll on for big scores in this first of the split round competition in round 10. 30-4 the Nissan Friday nighter East over the Gold Coast. Canterbury 40-22 over Parramatta. They could have declared in the first innings as well. West 41-12 over Newcastle. Some interesting matches next week to complete this fifth round. The Nissan Friday nighter will be coming from Lang Park. Brisbane need a win over Cronulla. Penrith up against St George. South's Canberra. North's going up against Balmain. And our MMI big game, a vital one for Illawarra to stay in the 5, going up against Manly Warringah. Now, just before we go, a reminder about our footy freeze frame competition. That number 50